Hey man, I like the glasses there.
Yeah, I guess the weather warranted a kind of eyewear. Yeah, it's a scorcher today, eh?
Yeah, man, I actually had a ice cream with mangoes today as my dessert, man. I really needed that. But anyway, let's get down to the cricket. I'm going to do this very briefly because there is quite a bit there. Yeah, the India-New Zealand ODI 50 over 6 of time. Two of them got rained out, and then New Zealand won the one ODI. I think New Zealand pretty much were deserved series winner. I think they would have probably won the last one. They were chasing just over 200 runs. But anyway, this. And then if we look at the Bangladesh and India series, Bangladesh won the first two ODIs. I mean, India gave it a really good first day, despite making a first ODI. Let me just to speed up. Yeah, they made 186 all out in the first ODI, and Bangladesh won that by one wicket. And then the second ODI, it was 271 for 7 for Bangladesh, and then India made 266 for 9. So it was quite close. So basically, the series so far could have gone either way. And then on the third ODI, if you look at it today, India made a mammoth 409 runs for 8, and Bangladesh at the moment are 60 runs for 2. And to put next year, Ishan Kishan made the fastest double 100 here, 210 runs of 131 balls, and Kohli made 113 runs of 91 balls, and then the others that pretty much made cameos here. Sorry?
Hugo.
Sorry, I can't hear you there.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Oh, so sorry. I was hearing something in my earpiece, so I apologize. Yeah, so what's your thoughts on that, eh? Ishan Kishan made the fastest double 100 there, eh?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think India would be disappointed that this game has just gone to a dead rubber and they lost the first two because they could have won one of those. I think the first one. I think they bottled the first game. They could have won the first game. They could have won the first game because they had Bangladesh all sorts of trouble, 136 for 9 or something. So I think they let that one slip. Yeah. The second one, probably a bit touch and go there by 5 runs. But yeah, I mean, they could have easily won the first two. This could not have went to, this shouldn't have even went to a kind of a dead rubber. I mean, 409, that's a mammoth total. I think it's a score beyond Bangladesh. It's really a score beyond Bangladesh. And I think it's a score beyond most teams chasing. I mean, to chase 409, you got to have a game of your life. I mean, you go back to that famous one day in Joburg in 2006. That was a game for the ages. So you got to have that sort of game.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could have been live. I wish I could have been live for that game in the crowd. But anyway, that's a different story for another matter. But yeah, I was thinking more the second ODI should have gone to India instead because they had Bangladesh like 60 something for 7, or was it 70 something for 7? Like, I mean, I don't know how they bottled that game up. But anyway, that's India for you. They've been bottlers of late. Okay, let me just go check this up quickly. Yeah, let's go. Sorry?
Their form recently has been a bit patchy. It hasn't been consistent. Consistent at all. Consistent, performances on this team that has a lot of talent. But it's good to see King Kohli runs, and then obviously Ishan. What an amazing knock that was. 200. That was an amazing knock. But I mean, it's good to see Kohli back in the runs. And yeah, it bodes well for the Test series and the upcoming series as well. So I mean, it's big ask for Bangladesh to chase the score, but I think India would probably win this game. Now it's going to take a minute for them to actually chase the stuff.
Yeah. All I will say, Bangladesh chased 409 runs. I don't think India should even bother to even go back to their country. That'll be too embarrassing. But anyway, that's just my theory. Yeah, actually, the first test is actually on the 14th and 22nd, so that's pretty much next week. I'm going to make a quick prediction. India to win the test series 1-2-0.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Hey, I think that's pretty fair because I mean Bangladesh can surprise in their home conditions because they're quite formidable in their home
Yeah,
conditions. Eh, they are quite formidable. So
yeah,
I mean, as I say, I mean this is not foreign conditions for India as well. This is quite hot.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is
That's
quite
why. Yeah.
conditions that you'd probably do at home as well. So yeah, uh, yeah. Look, I prize, but I think India
Hmm.
are probably favorites
Hmm.
based on the experience that they do have. Yeah, so I'd probably put India as favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go to Australia, West Indies. Yeah, you were right. Australia to win that first test. I was hoping for a West Indian draw or a surprise, but they lost by 164 runs. And if I look at the second test so far, Australia 511 for 7. West Indies were bowled at for 214, and Australia predictably batted again, made 199 for 6. And West Indies currently are 30 for 4, needing another 467 runs to win. I wouldn't, unless the weather gods come, this is a pretty big defeat for West Indies tomorrow.
Yeah, so Australia, they're using this series as preparation, and we all expected this was going to happen. They're using this as preparation for the upcoming series, which is going to be a little bit tougher for them, I assume.
Hmm.
It's not going to be as easy one-way traffic that we're seeing here. So, but I mean, what can you say about the Windies? I mean, really, they showed some fight in the first test, but I mean, they've been completely outplayed in the second test. They're completely outplayed
Hmm.
with the ball, completely outplayed with the bat. It hasn't been good watching. It hasn't been good viewing. That's why I don't think there's much
Hmm.
spectators at both these games. I'll probably see a little bit more spectators come next week because I mean that's obviously a much more of an even contest. But this
Hmm.
series has
Hmm.
been anything but even. It's been everything but even. Australia are going to romp to a 2-0 series win here and, quite comfortably
Yeah.
as well in the end. I don't think anything can save the Windies from a 2-0 hammering here. And to be honest with you, their record in Australia is quite atrocious. If you look at it, they haven't won a series. I think they haven't won a test match
Yeah.
there since '97. So, I mean, the record speak for itself. It was going to be a mismatch of
Hmm.
sorts, and it proved to be the case.
Yeah, man. I was actually, yeah, I was hoping. I think that first test defeat must have taken the sting of their wins there because I thought if they had taken the draw in that first test, maybe they might have been competitive. But then who knows? Maybe it would have just been a false sense of security. But anyway, that's them. Let's get to a more positive one, the blockbuster. Australia, South Africa. Australia is number 1 currently. We are number 2. What a series this is going to be. Let's look at the squad of South Africa before we get into it. Elgar is there, obviously. Captain Bavuma is there. Gerald Coetzee, the bowler. Tinus de Bruin, the middle order batsman. Sarwal, Harmer, Jansen, Klaasen, Keshav, Ngidi, Nortkia, Rabada, Rassi, Verena, Lizard. Interesting. Then you have Zondo. Interesting squad, this, eh?
Yeah, I guess some predictable names there, but I think that the most important
Hmm.
thing is Rassi is back in this lineup, especially in the middle order, and then we've got Bavuma, which I think this is his format. This is the format
Hmm.
that he excels in.
Hmm.
I can't understand why they put him in other formats, but I mean that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I'm looking at this Australian side. Geez, I mean, there's so many hundreds in that lineup. I mean, yeah, the likes of Warner, the likes of Kawaja, the likes of uh, Labuschagne, the likes of Steve Smith. There's so many
Hmm.
hundreds that are stacked up against
Hmm.
this Proteas batting lineup, which I feel is so thin in terms of
Hmm.
100 scored. And I think the one
Hmm.
way that they can compete with series is with the ball, because I think with the ball,
Hmm.
both teams are probably even. But I think Australia have the edge with the batting, and I'm
Hmm.
not too optimistic with to be honest with you. I'm not really optimistic because I think the batting looks very, very thin. I think our previous Proteas sides that have gone there in the past and won there, the last 3 visits have been quite memorable to Australia.
Hmm.
They've won each since 2008. There was some great teams. There were some great teams going down there and doing the business. But I just feel this team here, Sid, I just feel this team lacks that threat with the bat. That's where the worry is. And in Australia, you've got to score big runs. You've got to score big runs in Australia to compete. However, I do feel the bowling lineup gives them a chance, but gives them an outside chance, I feel. But if I had to pick a winner here, at the moment, and the way Australia is batting at the moment against West Indies, I'd probably say Australia 2-1, probably series winners. I think the Proteas can win one game. They can win one game this tour, but yeah, I just feel the batting is way too thin. There's too many players in that lineup that are actually trying to find their way in cricket, and even a guy like Bavuma, I mean, for all his experience, I mean, I know he bails the team out on quite a few occasions. It looks a bit thin. It looks a bit thin. I mean, 100 in making his debut 6 years ago, and it's still not good enough at this level. Rassi, I feel Rassi is a better one-day player than a test player. I feel sometimes he gets too defensive in test matches, and I think yet again the burden is going to fall on Elgar as captain. He's got to lead this team from the front with the bat, and that's where my worry is. I think this bowling attack can trouble Australia. I don't think you're going to see Australia score free flowing as they have been. Windies, I mean, absolute carnage we've seen the last two tests now against the Windies with the bat, but I don't think Australia are going to have it that easy with the bat. But yet again, I don't think the Proteas can score that many runs as well on the series, so that's where my worry is at the moment. I mean, if we had a better batting line, if we had a more solid batting line, I'd probably say the series is 50-50, but it's just swinging in Australia's favour because this Proteas batting lineup is looking so thin in so many departments. And yet again, Elgar, I mean, if the Proteas had to pull this off, if they had to pull this off in Australia and win the series, it'll definitely be one of the great wins, especially with the side that they're taking this time around, one of the weaker teams. So I mean, by no means are they out of it, but I think it's going to take some betting, and I think Dean Elgar is going to score the bucket load of runs here for the Proteas to actually win the series. So yeah, I'm not too optimistic on that point of view, but I think the bowlers can really cause Australia a lot of problems.
Yeah. But I guess if we have to be fair to our batsmen haven't been playing on very fair batting tracks. I mean, mostly bowler friendly, and I feel in Australia, the tracks will be... Australian tracks are pretty similar to our tracks back home. In fact, I would say a lot better, to be fair, to be brutally honest. So if our batsmen can't do well in Australian tracks, then I think we have bigger problems, because at least when we were losing, those tracks in New Zealand, England, and even West Indies to an extent were really hectic. So I think in Australia we should make a lot more runs. Even if we make 350 at the bar, like at the benchmark, with our bowling attack, we could be very competitive. And the pitches in Brisbane and especially Melbourne, fine, they've become a bit spicy, but they're not, let's say, unplayable. You just got to apply yourself. What do you think?
Yeah. Talking about those venues, I think the one venue that probably South Africa could win in is Melbourne. I think the Melbourne pitch would definitely help them. And if they can score 300 plus at Melbourne, they got a chance. They definitely got a chance at Melbourne. I think at Sydney, Australia, their record at Sydney speaks for itself. And obviously at Brisbane as well. I mean, I know they lost the last... actually, they did win the last match at Brisbane was against England. So, I think the one bowler that's really going to trouble is Stark. I think Stark is a real threat here, especially with that swinging bowler. He's the one swing bowler that in the world that can trouble opening batsmen. And I think the Proteas, what they battled with is the ball moving across them, the swinging delivery, and we saw that in England as well. Although the bowlers were amazing in England, the swinging delivery was the one that troubled them. But having said that, I think, when you're talking about batting tracks, I think when you talk about Australia, it's as South African conditions as you can get. I mean, very, very similar batting conditions. And as you said, they could score more runs there. England was challenging. New Zealand was very challenging, especially that first test, until they got a wake-up call and won the second test. And yeah, the Windies was quite challenging. I didn't expect them to bat that badly in the West Indies, although the bowlers did bail them out. But that was a bit challenging as well. So Australia should favour them a bit. They should score a little bit more runs in Australia. And I don't think it's scoring 450, 500. I think 300, 350. You give this bowling attack 300, 350, they can cause damage. They can cause damage. So that's what they need to target. They need to target 300, 350. That's it. Let the bowlers do their magic. Because I think the bowlers can cause this Australian batting lineup lots of problems. I look at Marco Jansen. The Australians haven't faced Marco Jansen. They don't know what to expect from Marco Jansen. And the same with Anrik Nokia. But I think the guy that really needs to get a game here is Gerald Coetzee.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a real talent. And I think he can clock it. He can really crack it up to 145. 145 plus, he can really crank that speed. And I think in Australia, you need that speed. You need that extra pace. And I told you why England lost the Ashes last year. Because they didn't have those express bowlers. I mean, they had Wood, but they needed Archer. For England to have won that series last year, they needed Archer, and they didn't have Archer. You had guys like Broad. You had guys like Anderson. That are great bowlers. No doubt about it. Anderson and Broad are great bowlers, but they're great bowlers in their conditions. They're not great travellers. They're great bowlers in their conditions. But in Australia, you need a little bit more than medium pace. You need express pace to win Test matches in Australia. And I think South Africa do have that. The likes of Nokia, the likes of Gerald Coetzee. I think Gerald Coetzee deserves a game on this tour. And I hope he does get a game.
Yeah. Actually, I just forgotten to actually revisit one series here. It was actually the Pakistan and England, and I was quite surprised that England won that first test, but they deserved it. They really made a game out of a dead track by 74 runs. The second match thing, they lead by 249 runs, 281 all out, and Pakistan with 202 all out, and they won 70 for 5 England. Interesting, eh?
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? This England side have been so impressive. They've been so impressive so far in Pakistan, and I think that first Test series is probably one of the best away wins I've seen in a long time. And a lot of experts were calling it one of the best away wins because remember something. This track was really docile. It was really dead for like four and a half days. I mean, there wasn't really much happening in terms of movement, away movement. But what England showed was fighting spirit, and I think their field settings were absolutely spot on in this game. They really put Pakistan in a bit of a hole. Then it's a hole that they dug themselves in, and they couldn't get out of it. And I mean, look, Pakistan were pretty well placed at one stage. They were like 247 for 5, and then you saw one of those famous Pakistan collapses. One of those famous Pakistan collapses, and they really lost 5 wickets for not too many, and England, and then they crumbled. Yeah. They absolutely crumbled under relentless England pressure, and I think the light was dwindling there, and I think the light was dwindling on Pakistan as well. So, yeah, I mean, full credit to England. I mean, I told you, they play brave cricket. They are really playing brave cricket at the moment, and I think this game, although a little bit more evenly matched, I think they're still in command at the moment. I think 234 runs or 240 runs ahead, and
actually,
the way
it's more like 250.
Yeah, get another. I just want to say, if England get another 100 here, it's probably game over for Pakistan because I don't see Pakistan chasing 350 in the fourth inning. So, I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that? I mean, England could be 2-0 up going into the third test. So,
I know.
Yeah, Pakistan. I think they've really backfired. Their approach is backfired. Their approach backfired in the first test. Preparing that belter, they got beaten at their own game. Essentially, they got beaten at their own game. I think the run rate from England was so amazing that they could dictate the game. And I think when a team scores 6 runs and over both innings, they deserve the right to dictate the game, and they dictated the game from their own. I think that loss against England in that first test has really damaged Pakistan psychologically, I think. And I think you can see it in this for the second test as well, that they're not right there. They're not all right there in terms of the mind. And it's been England all the way since then, eh? And who would have thought? Who would have thought? I never saw this coming. I thought it'd be a much more evenly contested series. But I mean, you got to give it to them. Baseball is really showing its worth here.
Baseball. Yeah, I like that. In this test match, it's not been too much baseball. I think England have applied themselves. They've shown a bit of adaptability, which is good to see, because baseball won't always be the order of the day, especially on these sorts of tracks. So if they can kind of, although the run rate in the second inning is pretty good, 3.99, so that's still very good, even if they're not going at 6 runs and over. So if they keep at this run rate, they can definitely make it interesting going into tomorrow.
But I just want to say something. When you're talking about baseball, it's not all about the run rate, and McCullum has showed it. What McCullum meant by it is, this England side wants to win in any conditions. They want to try and find a way to win a game. So I think baseball is more about playing brave cricket. And I think what you've seen from England ever since McCullum has taken over, they played brave cricket. Not reading too much into run rates and stuff, but they played brave cricket. And I think England have been brave. So when I'm talking about baseball, I'm not necessarily talking about run rates and batting at 6-7 and over. I'm talking about playing brave cricket. I think England have played such amazing cricket, brave cricket, ever since McCullum has taken over. It's been quite interesting and exciting to watch. I think they've actually made Test cricket a bit exciting, because I think Test cricket in England was really dying in a way, and looking at the way the team was performing. But I think they've reignited cricket at the moment. So yeah, I think baseball is more about playing brave cricket, trying to win in any situation. So how can we win a series? How can we win a game? And how can we win a series, even if we're behind the game? How can we win a game? So I think the approach that McCullum has installed in this team.
Yeah, I was thinking like that declaration in the first test was really brave. I mean, I thought they should have
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at another captain will probably look to save the game rather than trying to win it and possibly lose it. But as I say, that's the mentality of this England side. They want to go out and try and win a game. They're not settling for draws anymore. They don't do draws anymore. They don't do draws on McCullum. It's either win or lose. How it is. It's an all approach, and I think this is what Test cricket needed. Definitely. I mean, who wants to see draws? Nobody wants to see draws. Everybody wants to see a result, and I think this is one way of marketing Test cricket. It's really important to play Test cricket quite a kind of way. It's really important, I feel.
Yeah, actually, sorry for like cutting our Australian SA segment short. I was feeling a bit bad that we forgotten England and Pakistan. But like, what are your final words before we actually wrap up on this? Australia. So you're still predicting 2-1. I'm actually thinking, right, though you are right, Australia are the favorites, because we are sending a very weak side compared to previous sides. But I think if they can draw this series against Australia, I think it'll be more a victory for us than for them. I think Australia will probably feel very disappointed, because this is their best chance of redeeming against us. What do you say?
Look, I think the performances in England, I think the performances for a while now with the bat has not been good enough. And I think that's obviously dampened the situation in terms of how, we're looking at the series. I think if our batters were like in really, really free-flowing form and scoring hundreds at will, I think you probably would have given SA a chance of winning the series. But I think that's putting a damper. But yeah, I think the best result SA can obviously take from the series is a 1-1 draw. And a 1-1 draw would probably feel like a win. And I'd take a 1-1 draw. With this team here that we have at the moment, so many youngsters, so many people that are essentially out of form. And I don't think there's any Protea batsman in this lineup that can say that their place is safe. Their place in the lineup is safe. And I think that's a bit of a concern, that none of the batsmen can say that their place is safe in the series, including a guy like Elgar, the captain himself. I mean, he hasn't scored enough runs so far. So Yeah, I think that's fascinating. But I think the one thing that fascinates me more about the series, look, it's going to be a battle of the bowlers. Again, it's going to be a battle of the bowlers. I think the bowling lineup that bowls, that can bowl out an opposition out for fewer runs will win the series. And for me, I just feel, although both bowling lineups are on even Stevens, I just feel Australia are going to score a little bit more runs because they have so many other batsmen. They have so many hundreds in that lineup. It's absolutely insane to look at both batting lineups. When you look at both batting lineups, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. But it's kind of hard to...
so many hundreds in that Australian lineup that racks up. Yeah, I just look at it at that. But you know what? I'd really be proud of this team if they could win one, if they can draw the series 1-1. Like you said, I will really be proud.
I'm expecting Sydney to be I'm calling it Sydney to be the drawn match. We'll get Melbourne. Australia will get Brisbane.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that. I'm looking at that as
absolutely. I think Sydney is the best batting track in Australia. It's the flattest. It's the flattest batting track, and I think you can score runs there. I know England were all at sea last year in the Ashes. I mean, they were hopeless. But I think they drew at Sydney, yeah. So, Australia don't have the best record at Sydney as well, in terms of Test series wins, Test matches recently. I think they've drawn quite a few, and I think they lost. I think they've lost one as well, if I can't recall. No, I think there's been quite a few draws. So I agree with you. I think Sydney can be a draw. I think Sydney can be a draw. I think SA's best chance is to win at Melbourne, because I think the Melbourne pitch will really help this team in terms of it's got pace, it's got bounce.
Yeah, I think we've won at Melbourne before. I remember we bowled Australia out for 80. That was when Faf was captain. Beautiful times, and I think it could happen again. I'm actually hoping that Brisbane becomes a draw by miracle, then we win Melbourne, and then we can have 1-0 series win from there. I know that sounds fanciful, but you never know. Cricket's a funny game.
Yeah, cricket's a funny game. Yeah, my final thoughts, I think England are going to win the series in Pakistan.
Course,
I think they're going to win the second test. Definitely, it's going to be 2-0. And then Pakistan are going to be, the Pakistan media is going to, they're going to turn to this team. They're going to turn to the captaincy of Babar Azam. And
I feel sorry for him, though, because he won the winning track for the first pitch, for the first test, but he didn't get it. So I feel sorry for the captain of Pakistan. I don't blame the Pakistan team. I blame the administrators.
I'm a bowler in Shaheen Shah Afridi. I think Shaheen Shah is a very, very crucial bowler for them. And I think him not being in the team is probably hampering them, because I think he's the best bowler for them. He is the best bowler in all formats, unfortunately. So, so my prediction is the same. I think
2-1 you said, right?
I think Australia are overwhelming favourites, but I think the Proteas can win one game. And I think they can win. But
I wouldn't want to say I would say they're slight favourites, but I don't want to do the overwhelming because it seemed a bit demeaning to us. I would say it's slight favourites, more because our side is weaker than theirs. But I'm actually hoping that SA surprises me, man, because Pakistan have surprised me in a bad way. I really was hoping for a lot more, but credit to England, they've been braver. They've deserved their position so far. Harry Brook has been in great form. He's on 69 of 97 balls. He probably looks he'll make another 100. So good for him. I think.
I just want to see this Protea side show some fight, and I take 1-1. Definitely take 1-1. A 1-1 draw will probably be.
But whenever it comes to Australia, we seem to show a bit more fight. I think Australia brings out the best in us. So don't be surprised as they come out all guns blazing. So I think, I'm actually, I don't know why. I could be optimistic. I think SA could also still win this. Could also win this series. But Australia is my favorite. So if I'm going to go with that logic, I would say 2-1. But it's more of a conservative, more on the edge 2-1, not a convincing 2-1. I'm actually expecting it to go either way series. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. That would probably put them in prime. In a prime place to actually qualify for that World Test Championship final.
Yeah, and then or I'll also take the draw. I mean, that could be our year. Draw a series in Australia, hurt the Eagles even more. That could be fun. I think that's. And then
Look,
Australia go to India a bit deflated.
I just want to say something. I think under Dean Elgar, you've seen a rejuvenated test team.
Yeah.
I think the test team has played aggressive cricket, and I think they've only lost one series so far under Elgar, which was the one in England, which is really challenging. So if I look at all the formats, the T20s, the ODIs, and the Tests, I think the Test matches have been one format that the Proteas have excelled so far. So Australia are favourites.
Yeah.
The Proteas can surprise, but I think a more likely result is probably 1-1. The best result is probably 1-1.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I take 1-1, at the moment. But let's see how it goes. We want to see some good cricket because I think the West Indies and Australia series have been a bit of a snowfest. So we want to see a little bit more competitive, a little bit more engaging series. So I think that's what we're going to see. So I'll definitely be tuned in for the series. So I can't wait for the series to start.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you go, how are you finding the Soccer World Cup? You finding it enjoyable?
Yeah, it has. My teams are doing quite well at the moment. We've seen quite a few upsets. I mean, Brazil yesterday. I mean, wow, what a performance in Croatia to come back into that game. I mean, it was obviously a heartbreak for Brazil, and they were touted as one of the favorites to win this World Cup. Unfortunately, they out. So that was that was a big shock for me. I think Germany exiting the group stage was a bit of a shocker for me as well. Look, it's an amazing World Cup. You've seen so many twists and turns. You've seen so many upsets. I mean, I was talking about Germany, Uruguay. I mean, Morocco. For me, Morocco. I mean, really reaching this stage of the competition, the quarterfinal stage. Their performance
against Portugal at 5 o'clock, and there's England and France today at 9 o'clock. Ooh, that's exciting. That's juicy.
Yeah,
I like France.
I've got England jersey on here, so come on, England. Come on, England. Yeah, so I'm hoping England can win that game.
I'd like to see France win.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, Argentina are through, so one of my teams are through already. They drew to the semi-finals. I mean, fantastic game last night against the Netherlands.
They won a penalty
shootout. Awesome. Awesome from Emi Martinez, the Argentina goalkeeper. Two amazing saves in that penalty shootout. So, it's been a drama-filled World Cup. It's been an amazing World Cup. But Morocco, the only African team left standing against Portugal. What a game that's going to be. And Morocco, if they can cause another surprise against Portugal, they're going to be the first African team to reach the semi-finals. And what an amazing story that's going to be. What an amazing story that's going to be for the continent of Africa and for the world. I mean, I know every Qatari is going to be cheering for Morocco today. Everyone in the Middle East is going to be cheering for Morocco. So Morocco is going to have amazing support today, mind you. So it's going to be two amazing games today. Eh? I can't wait, and obviously I can't wait for that Proteas and Australia series next week. So it's December, lots of sport. So really exciting.
Okay, I shall see you on the other side.
Cheers. Have an amazing weekend, and chat to you soon. Cheers.